Doctors of Reddit, what's it like when you go in for a doctor's appointment? Do you and your doctor discuss what's wrong with you like it's a group project? Do you not go at all because you're your own doctor? Doctor here, it is a bit dependent on the field of medicine involved. For example, I don't know much about neurological issues, so if I went to see a neurologist, I certainly wouldn't be chipping in. For more generic conditions, I have previously offered my thoughts to my doctor about what it could be. Ultimately, I still go to the doctor as they can prescribe drugs, order tests for me that would be questionable for me to do myself. Your answer seems to be the most genuine and reasonable answer yet, Ty. His name isn't Ty. It's Dr. Big Mac. It's Dr. Big Mac the 69th. Living at 420 Street. Edit, wow, thanks for my first silver. Phone number? 666-8008. Edit, old number was 666-1337. Thanks for the correction. That's his old number. The new one is 666-8008. Which has been replaced now that he's moved in with Jenny, 867-5309. I got it. Doctor here, family medicine. I self-diagnose most things, but for my 1-year-old daughter I decided a while ago that I don't want to do that for her. So her pediatrician doesn't know I'm a doctor. I never told her. I want her to treat me like any other parent, and explain everything to me like I'm 5 years old. I'm afraid of being too nonchalant with my daughter's health, that I'll miss something, or the doctor assuming I know more than I really do. It's actually a strategy I've adopted since on myself. If I go to a doctor, say a gynecologist, for a routine checkup, I sometimes just don't say what I do so I can legitimately ask dumb questions about things that I should really know, or so that the other doctor won't leave out important info that they assume I know for fear of insulting me. On the other hand, my regular doctors do know, such as the gynecologist who saw me through my pregnancies, and that enables more complex and nuanced discussions about health decisions, as in debating questions and giving me options that he wouldn't necessarily do with any patients. BC, he can be sure I understand the medical pros and cons well once I'm given a basic explanation. I wish I could do that with my kids. I am not a doctor at all. I am a sonographer and do ultrasounds. I work at the same hospital that my children's pediatricians group works. When my son was born in April, he ended up in the NICU. The fact that I knew everyone up there from scanning in the department was comforting. I know they are good people and practice well. At one point the NICU doctor said, "Well, you know how that is," and I had to tell her no, I have no clue how that is. I don't do diddly squat with lungs. I know the basic anatomy and that is it. Which is true, lungs have air, so ultrasound doesn't go anywhere near lungs. She told me I was going to get the normal script from then on out, so don't feel insulted if she told me things I already knew. Nope, explain it to me like it's my first day ever setting foot in a hospital. Please. That way no one assumes someone picked up what was left down. If anyone wanted to better understand what a high context and a low context culture is and how they impact communication, these are excellent examples. I feel like this comment relates a lot to my interpersonal communication skills as of late, and the interactions I've been having with the people around me. If I'm right, then you may have just given something a name that was previously too abstract and obtuse to really identify, but also something that has been having a big effect on my life for various reasons. Do you think you could expand a little bit on the topic? Or maybe give me a link to some relevant information, if it isn't too heady. I'm roughly average intelligence, not a doctor. Lol. Doctor here, neurologist. I'm not good at going to the doctor. I don't go often, but when I do I usually just STFU, especially if it's a field of medicine I have no idea about, like say derm. That being said, the doctor usually knows I'm a physician as well, and so the language terms to be more technical. I also find that we practice less defensively with each other since we can be more open. We could do ABC tests, but honestly what you probably have is X, so take this, and if it doesn't get better then we can do ABC. Real question is, do you understand the prescription the other doctor writes? We don't really write prescriptions much anymore. Usually it's computer generated. Best change ever emo. Now I know what I'm getting before I get the pills. Gives me a fantastic opportunity to Google the pills and catastrophize before I even take them. I mean, only if you're paranoid. I research every drug I'm given. I want to know what they actually do and how they do it before I take them. Nothing wrong with being informed, plus it means if you have any questions you can ask your doctor about it. I had an issue with the insurance company prescribing a generic Prilosec, so I had to get a different antacid. Second prescription came in, bought it, Googled it before I took it. Got prescribed a laxative instead. Thank God I looked, I would have been in a world of pain. I don't give a shit what the insurance company wants to push, it doesn't work for me. You will give a shit prescribes laxatives. I was sat in a consultation between two doctors with one needing an ultrasound. They knew each other through work already, so it was very friendly and casual between the both of them. The patient doctor trying to figure out what was going on the ultrasound screen, and the doctor was teaching him the bits he didn't know. My mom's a GP and she usually just self-diagnoses most of the time, but will sometimes get a second opinion. She doesn't really go to another doctor, just calls them to ask about stuff. Her contacts are filled with all kinds of doctors. It's like a secret underground community. For stuff like getting ultrasounds, etc. Then yes, they do discuss stuff like it's a group project. How was it growing up for you? Did she get over every little ache and pain, or were you just told to walk it off because she's seen so much worse? Asking because I know experiences from both sides. My grandparents were both physicians and lived with us while I was growing up. Grandma was a pediatrician and Grandpa was a surgeon. Anytime I had an ache or felt sick, she would examine me, then go to her bathroom medicine tablet and bring back medicine in a little paper cup. It always made me feel better. I later found out it was always a children's Tylenol. She was faking me out with a placebo effect. If I was actually sick, my grandma would have my mom take me to another doctor, as she was no longer practicing and couldn't order tests or prescribe medication. That's actually super sweet and adorable. Yes, so wholesome. I'm an doctor, and sometimes I have other doctors as patients. For the most part they're pretty good patients because they can give a good description of their symptoms in a way that's useful to me. They usually ask good questions and are well equipped to have an informed discussion about their diagnosis and treatment. Sometimes it's hard for me to dial back my patient talk where I simplify medical terms for laypeople. Sometimes it's challenging if their area of expertise is totally unrelated to the issue at hand and they don't recognize their limited understanding. The worst patients are those who have just a little medical knowledge and think they know everything. Some version of, my aunt is a nurse, and she said I need a whole body MRI for this runny nose. As far as self-diagnosing, I usually deal with my own minor medical issues. If I notice signs of something more serious, I would go to someone else. As a veterinarian, many of my worst clients are nurses and doctors. Lots of questionable home diagnoses and treatments. Yeah, people and animals are pretty close, but we're not the same and medicines don't work 100% the same. I agree about having difficulty dialing back the patient talk though. These are folks that can understand medical terms, and I don't want to be demeaning, but I've got my dumbed down spiel about things and it just flows out. To be fair, I recognize that I'm probably annoying to my doctor too. Although when I went in for surgery last year I had a great time chatting with the anesthesia nurses about protocols until they drugged me. I'm also a vet, and I usually don't even tell my doctors what I do. I once let an endocrinologist go through a whole explanation of what hyperthyroidism is to me because I didn't want him to accidentally skip over something that's different between humans and cats. Turns out it's pretty much the same. And in the end I don't have it. That's a good point about them maybe skipping over something relevant. I never really considered that. It depends on what I'm going in for. As a background, I'm an oncologist, so I've trained in internal medicine before. For most internal medicine type stuff, I don't bother going in unless I need something that I can't easily get for myself, for example labs or images. For specialty stuff I wasn't trained in, I go in and try to give them the best history I can, but let them do their own thing. Internet high five from an oncology patient, thanks for doing what you do. Chiming in to agree with the other poster. My son had cancer and his DRS were amazing and kind. You really look to your oncologists for answers and sometimes hope. So, thank you for what you do. Part of why I, and many others, went into the field was for the especially close relationships we can forge with our patients, and what we can do for them during an incomparably tough time in their lives. So, it's our pleasure. Doctor here. In general, we are not good about going to the doctor. For me it's physicals about half as often as recommended, and that time I had strep a year and a half ago that didn't resolve with whatever antibiotics I had in my medicine cabinet. When we do go in, it is like a group project. We usually hash things out together, but ultimately I am going to defer to someone with more expertise than me in that area who can make an objective decision. When I go to the doctors, it's also like a group project. I let everyone else do the work and reap the benefits.